All right, let's talk about internal community, internal harmonization. Getting free from, just like the United States got free from British rule, we get free from the rule of a spirit that dehumanizes you so that you can have community internally. Everything balances each other out. Your work ethic, leisure, hobbies, the erotic, your romantic relationship, your meditation life, your illumination from studies, all of it harmonizes. Nothing is the head and nothing is deprived. I'm going to make a case now that Pentecostal and Baptist men, through sexual deprivation, create demons of sexual perversion. All these, every day I see MAGA pastors going to prison for raping women and children. Through deprivation, we create demons out of normal hormonal realities that the Creator gave us. Through normal sexual and psychological development, everything is harmonized so that everything is done ethically, beautifully, sacred erotic. In the New Age movement, people demonize their emotions. They say that my emotions are not the real me. You produce those emotions. You metabolize the situation in a certain way. And by integrating with your tough emotions, you will heal those emotions as the most conscious part of you, where the logic is, and the intuition and the emotion and how you feel about the situation. As they all come together and integrate, there's healing that happens. But when you disown parts of yourself by saying it's not the real you, my emotions, the angst I feel isn't the real me, it's the false me, then you put it in an isolate dungeon within yourself and it turns into a demon. Meaning, not a fallen angel like the Christians talk about it, but I mean a demon in the sense that it's an energy pocket that knows what you did to it. It's aware of it. It's a subatomic particle grouping of emotion that knows what you did to it. It's a child you produced. A child in the sense of situation happens, there's the seed, you metabolize it, there's the egg, the feminine energy. You gave birth to a reality in your psychology. This is how I feel about it. Here's how I'm reacting. Here's what I've become as a result of these events, whether trauma or pleasure or whatever. Here's what I've become as a result. Here's the offspring of what's happened the last 10 years of my life. I have given birth to this baby. It's my child. But then when you disown that child and put it in the dungeon of unconsciousness so you could just be aware of spirit all day, that child knows that you abandon it. And it will start making plans within its intelligence, within itself. It starts making plans to overtake you in your temple and become you. And now you are become that thing, and that thing has become you. And that's why some of the places that the deconstruction crowd landed produced some of the most dysfunctional people I've met in my life. David Wilcock, teacher of the Law of One, who's featured on Gaia, he killed himself in front of the police. So no, a cabal didn't take him out. The author of the Law of One killed himself. Now that's a person's right, but I think that this is trying to tell us something. The author of the Law of One checked himself into a psychiatric unit. They couldn't help him after a week, so he gets out and kills himself in front of the cops. It's a person's right to do that, but I'm saying I think this is a message. When you disown whole parts of your human being and say it's the false me, remember who you were in heaven before you were born, and just be the spirit component only. Spirit is not you. It's a component that has to do with your psychology that you give form to through a teaching. That's why a Baptist spirit form is different than a Pentecostal spirit form or a Scientologist spirit form. The psychology will give form in the world of forms to that thing called spirit. And if you identify as a Scientology spirit, you'll never be able to change into a Christian spirit because you locked into what your identity is as a spirit. And if you're a New Thought spirit, you lock in as this is my eternal identity, then you will never be able to understand the activist. Because you will have to allow your psychology to produce a healthier spirit when your psychology grows beyond the former God form, spirit form, geometry. intelligence. So when you let yourself be human, everything internal becomes a community of love. Nothing is the head, nothing is the tail, nothing is ruling, and nothing is deprived. Because deprived energies start making plans to get their needs met somehow. When you have a poverty problem, you start having a criminal problem. When you have a poverty problem in society, you start having a criminal problem because they have to get their needs met somehow, even if they're criminal means. So sexual energies in Christian men, women too, but I'm saying Christian men who are going to jail, going to prison in droves now for raping women and children, had to get their needs met somehow because they were living in deprivation because of the epistles of Paul. He said, 1 Corinthians 3, God will destroy you if you have sex outside of marriage. 1 Corinthians 6, you are destroying you if you have sex outside of marriage. Revelation 21, we all know what the definition of fornication is. Sex with somebody you're not legally married to. All fornicators find their part in the lake of fire. So when people believe that shit, you can't harmonize, you can't have an internal community, and so, well, just keep your eyes on beautiful, loving bridegroom Jesus, and then the sin will just melt away. My point is that superstition, it's not saying it's beautiful. It's God-breathed, God-ordained. You can't fight what's God-ordained. You cannot fight what is God-ordained in your emotions or your sex life, sexuality, your erotic nature. You can't fight it. You can only harmonize with it the way God intended. So it will develop in a healthy way. But when you say Paul was telling us the truth, no, he wasn't. Dispenza's telling you the truth when he said that's the false ego. No, he isn't telling you. He's lying to you. And the point is cruelty. I think the spirit behind some of these teachers that meant well, I think the spirit behind them, the spirit that's using them, I think for that spirit, cruelty is the point, and stopping your healing is the point. Because it knows if you do heal, if society does heal from woundedness and from racism, then that spirit won't have control of the people anymore. And it got used to feeding off of your worship or your suffering. So that's why the New Age on one hand tells you if somebody rapes you or beats you, it's your fault. You created that. We're conscious creators of our reality. So if someone harms you, it's your fault, so you'll never heal. Then they tell kids when they're molested, it's not your fault. Because the first thing therapists tell them, because they internalize it as though we're their fault. That's the first healing, is to realize it was not your fault. It was their issues. So the New Age movement takes that therapy away and says, no, it was your fault. You created that. So on one hand, they say, if it happens to you from the outside, it's your fault. You created that, so you'll never heal. And then if it's you that really did produce negative emotions towards the opposite sex, or, in misogyny or misandry, if you really did produce legitimate anger, like over police brutality or sexual racism, homophobia, and misogyny in society, legitimate anger, necessary anger to make change. We have to be pushed to a certain point before we'll actually rise up and make change as a society. So even if it's if it's illegitimate, or if it's something that needs to change, like a woman who, let's say, she hates all men because of what's been done to her, whether it's that emotion or whether it's righteous anger because of your black friend was killed by the police when he was unarmed and wasn't resisting. Either way, either type of anger must be healed by fusing with it. Most conscious awareness, go down, feel all of it, integrate, become one with it, and the unrighteous anger will become understanding and insight as to what caused this unrighteous anger towards a whole people group. And the righteous anger will become words of life that will annihilate the demonic principality over our nation of racism, homophobia, and misogyny through Trumpism. So when you integrate with it, it won't be low vibrational judgmentalism. It will be righteous words of life that first and foremost must do the work of speaking to that mountain and casting it to the sea before it can ever bring healing. You have to remove the old garment. Otherwise, Jesus said you'll be a new patch on an old garment. So the point of the New Age movement then is to keep its rule over you by never letting you heal. So if it's disowned, if both types of anger are disowned, the unfortunate circumstantial anger or the righteous anger, if both types of anger are called low vibrational, judgmental, not the real you, if they're disowned, if you can't give it away if you don't own it, you can't give someone else's furniture away. If you own something, you can give it away or sell it. But if you don't own something, it's illegal for you to give it away. So once you own what you're feeling as your creation, then you can transform it through integration, not by living above it. Living above it, it'll create a demon. It'll create a resentment in that energy pocket. Resentment turns into anger from being hurt by what your spirit did to it. And it will overcome one day through karma, it will legally be able to overcome your spirit one day. And you won't notice because the process is so slow. And then people will notice you changed over the years, but they won't say anything because you'll just say, that's your stuff. You're just projecting on me. So there would be no point of the people in your life to ever have that heart-to-heart talk with you. What's going on, man? You're saying this and this, and this is very hurtful to these people, and you really hurt this person's feelings. That's just, they're projecting. That's their crap. That's their unhealed wound. So there's no point in talking to you because they know that you won't ever see your part in any problem because you're under New Age bullshit. So yeah, start with the idea that there was no fall. You are perfect as is, nothing to fix. That'll bring you out of Christian fundamentalism and its condemnation of your sexuality. But then you gotta do a whole nother work of pulling yourself out of New Age condemnation of your emotions and New Age self-blame for everything that happens. We don't create everything. We create probably 60 to 75% of our lives through thought and emotion, positive creation. If you're white in America, if you're Palestinian, you are able to create about 5% of your life. If you get bombed by the IDF, you don't have a life. If you're in one of their camps, or if you're brown in America and you're in a detention camp, even though you were going through the process of citizenship legally, and you're being tortured to death every day, how much of your future can you create through the law of attraction? Very little. So the law of attraction is loved and adored by white people who have the ability through white privilege to create such a high percentage. But even they don't do 100%. Even for such people, it's still 65 to 70% of your life that you create through positive, gazing at the goal and treating it like a memory so you can push the subatomic particles to the manifestation. But that's if you are not hindered by a situation that you have no control over. So I think the cruelty is the point of the spirit behind the New Age movement, to blame you for everything that happened to you from other people and to not blame you for the things you're doing to other people. That's just projecting. And to disown your emotions so you'll never heal. That way, if nobody heals from their woundedness and nobody heals it's just because you're told over and over in the New Age movement, that's just a story. Telling stories. You're just telling stories. You could talk about a New Age guru raping you. Telling stories. Just get out of your victim story. 95% of what people say happened probably didn't really happen. You're like a misogynist cop talking to a rape victim. Well, it's that dress you wore, and telling stories, telling fibs. You're never going to heal that way if you're not believed. You have to believe yourself. Other people have to believe you. You've got to have a community of support where nothing is out of balance. Okay? You don't stay in the victim story. The point of saying what happened is so that it can heal. You don't stay there the rest of your life. You heal. Once you heal, you never have to go back there again because you are really healed. But living above it, by saying, get out of your victim story, don't be a victim, that's living above it, and you will never heal that way. And that is the production of demonic energies, because that energy stays stuck in you, and it will become a demon. And I don't mean a Christian idea of a demon like a fallen angel. I mean an energy pocket whose purpose is now to destroy you the way you destroyed it, to disown you the way, to burn your life to the ground the way you burned it to the ground. Is people, there are energy pockets that are actually parts of you that want to hurt you because you've hurt them. Get it? Internal harmony. No, nothing ruling, nothing deprived. And that internal harmony is the nature of love. That's where love one another starts. Every aspect of your psychology loves each other, the other aspect. Every part of you loves the other part. That's the nature of love. Your spirit, the cosmic self, and the human, the flesh, the ego, the personal self. When they fall in love with each other, the man and the woman, the masculine and the feminine, the giver and the receiver, the spirit and the soul, spirit awareness, self-awareness. But when you remove self-awareness, you'll never see what you're doing, how you're coming across. When Christians create sexual perversion demons, maybe this, say for instance, a man who went through Celebrate Recovery or Living Waters for 6 months to stop masturbating completely. He's not dating any women, he's not friends with any women, because that would be too much temptation. Because he's not married. And he has contorted himself. He thinks he's conformed to the image of God's Son, but he's actually contorted to the image of superstition. So he hasn't masturbated in going on 8 years now, right? And now all of a sudden the sexual energies have seeping out of his eyes, seeping out of his countenance, seeping out of his body language. And 5 of the women at work become aware, this man really wants me, like really wants me bad. They can tell, your coworkers can tell, you're just oozing and gushing with sex. And you can't tell because you lost your self-awareness. And then next thing you know, it takes over completely, not just in your eyes, not just in the way you come across, like you're desperate. But now it takes over in the next phase of overtake, in its perverted form, not in its healthy form. And that's where you become a porn addict. And you couldn't stop it if you wanted to at this point. It's not even a choice at this point. You didn't give it a choice when you buried it, and now it's not going to give you a choice. It's going to take over your physical body itself, and now you're an addict. And this is the creation of demons, and that was the whole point. When the spirit of the age, the spirit world in the New Age, Sufism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, when the spirit of the age prophetically saw it was about to be destroyed, that's what 2 Peter 3:10 says, destroy the heavens to create new ones. They destroyed the heavens of Moses to create the heavens of Jesus. We're going to destroy the heavens of Jesus to create the heavens of harmonization, because even the heavens of Jesus were hierarchical. It was spirit dominating over the flesh. Whether Jesus wanted it that way or not doesn't matter. That's what we did with Christianity and Islam and Judaism and Sufism. And there was a symposium done on Rumi, the Sufi poet, and dealing with his racism and misogyny, because he was spirit over soul. Beautiful poetry, but it was spirit over soul, just like all the religions. And we've got to undo these things. But it is beautiful once we're internally harmonized and throw off the rule. Like 250 years ago, we threw off the rule of Britain. We throw off the rule of spirit headship so that everything, spirit, soul, body, can harmonize instead of being ruled. Once they harmonize like the Creator wanted it to, we won't be doing what Jesus said in the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas, verse 114. Verse 114. Jesus said, I will make the women become men. That's a mystical He said, I will make the women become men so that they might enter the kingdom. That's mystic talk for I'll force the soul realm, the emotion realm, to act like the logic, the logos, the blueprint of vision. That's the law of attraction. It's non-consensual. You're forcing your emotions to be something they're not. They're supposed to give birth to a new day. You're forcing them to just be a sperm that goes out and produces positive creation. But it's a forced thing. It's not organic. And when it's organic, it takes a little longer, but it's organic and it lasts forever. Instead of momentary positive creation here, positive creation here, it's not the situation you're trying to work on. It's you're trying to work on. The spirit soul fusion, where you then, instead of having to make your thoughts be the magnet for good things, it's your whole being becomes the magnet. Through the fusion is you as a human being. Now you have become the magnet for good and positive outcomes. And that takes a lot less work once you become it.